All right, so let's start our conversation today about partnering for success. We've got two amazing experts to guide us through our conversation today. First, we have Joy M. Hutton. Joy is the founder of Joy of Consulting, a management consulting firm, and On the Go GLAM, a beauty on demand marketplace. Joy is an advocate of entrepreneurs and small businesses and serves a number of small business councils and has a strong commitment to working with organizations that develop female entrepreneurs. Joy was honored by the city of Houston for her leadership in entrepreneurship, and February 4th, 2020 was named Joy M. Hutton Day. In honor of this day, she launched the Lead Her Ship Fund, a micro grant fund for female entrepreneurs. She was named to Inc. magazine's 2022 Female Founders 100 list, and she was recently appointed by the Harris County judge to serve on the Harris County Women's Commission to support health and economic initiatives of women in the community. Hi, Joy. It's so great to have you here.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here and get into this conversation with you all. And thank you, Satina. I saw your compliment. But yes, welcome everybody, and I'll be talking to you soon.
I love it. And we are going to drop resources for where you can stay in touch with Joy and Christopher. So please take a look in the chat. And next we have Christopher Dean. Since 2016, Christopher Dean has been the driving force behind Handhold Studio, a small business dedicated to designing and handcrafting sustainable furniture. Driven by a mission that champions client collaboration, he aims to foster community and creative partnerships through the principles of slow design while fighting fast furniture. Great to have you here, Christopher.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to talk about this. I feel pretty strongly about this topic. So yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Wonderful. So excited to have you both here. We have the perfect people for the job, especially this topic of collaboration, I feel like is so timely. So, Joy, I really want to start with you. Why is collaboration such a powerful tool for small business owners?
Yeah, ultimately, you cannot do things by yourself. You need a support system. You need a community that you're building around you. And, they say you go further when you go together, not alone. So I definitely think that collaboration is a powerful tool for small businesses. You build genuine relationships, it increases visibility, trust. You have access to networks that you might not have traditionally had access to. And it kind of turns, I always say, like, collaboration turns the who you know into who knows you. And your name may appear in rooms that you may not have even gotten in before. So there's that. And then you also have, when you collaborate, you have another business that maybe is serving the same audience as you in a different way. So you can cross promote and fill in, different service gaps. And it's not competition, it's literally collaboration. I think a lot of the times we don't think we can work with another company because it's like, oh, that's my competition. But there are synergies there. So thinking in terms of a collaborative mindset versus, oh, this is my competition, I'm trying to put them out of business, because it's not. We can work together. There are a lot of big brands that actually collaborate. I mean, if you look at partnerships that, let's just say, a T-Mobile has done, or something like that. Like, look at all the partnerships that they have. Banks collaborate with other businesses to give you discounts. So thinking about what aligns with your business where you can get access to a bigger audience. And it helps you build momentum when you're also doing collaborations as well. It helps you maybe scale faster because you're getting access to more people. Maybe you can bundle services with another company. Say you're an accountant, maybe you can partner with a lawyer, to offer services to your small business client. So I saw someone in the chat that had a tax business. You can definitely have a full suite of services if you collaborate with other people. So definitely having that collaboration mindset. I call it the 3 C's: clarity, knowing your values and your brand positioning, Because you need to be clear about that before you actually approach someone about a collaboration. And there's compatibility, align with businesses that share your audience or values, because you don't want to work with someone who's over there, they're abusing dogs and cats. You that may not be aligned with you. So we don't want to work with them. That's not good. So you want to make sure that they are aligned with your mission, your vision, your values as a company and as a business owner, because that's the integrity of your brand as well. And then the last C, communication. So establish regular and open dialogue from the start. You definitely don't want to work with someone who's going to ghost you, who's not responsive. So having a good solid foundation for that partnership in the beginning.
I love that. I just dropped the three C's in the chat because one thing about Joy, she's gonna give you a three. There's the three D's.
Yeah.
Listen, that's a whole different webinar. But
Yeah.
the three C's, so clarity, compatibility, and communication. I love that. It keeps it
Yes.
so you can remain focused on these three areas that you need to remain focused on. And something that you said, it turns the who you know into who knows you. I think it's really powerful because we cannot be everywhere all at once. It's just not possible. So having that so your name gets spread further faster is really a great way to build your business. So many good things there. Christopher, you have so much experience doing these collaborations and partnerships. Can you share how you structure your collaborations to make them successful?
Yeah. So I noticed in the chat, it seems like a lot of people offer services, which is going to be on the opposite side of the spectrum from what I usually do. Most of what I do is all products, high value products. So a lot of what I focus on is exchange collaborations or barters. I'll probably just call them barters instead of collaborations moving forward. I structure a lot of what I do, whether I approach people or whether people approach me, in a way that can leverage their audiences or trust in their brand and reliability in their brand, to better benefit my brand. I treat my business very different than a lot of people in that I treat it like everyone is friends. I treat everyone like a resource. I treat no one like a paycheck, which I think has been a valuable resource for me. Finding out what fits like your collaborative mindset or what would work best with your business type, whether it be like a team collaboration, a community collaboration, virtual networking, exchange. There's so many different types of collaborations. It's just whatever would work best for you. I usually structure I budget it out, just like a normal budget. I do three collaborations per year. And I try and sit down with either like my SWOT formula or my business plan, or my SWOT analysis. And I try and figure out what are three things in that year that I would like to improve upon. And then I will find someone who can fill that need, whether it be a photographer, a videographer, a bookkeeper, graphic designer, what have you, and find a way to leverage my high value product with the service that they might succeed at or they might offer better. That's the primary way that I'm structuring mine. Approach it very nonchalant, very friendly, with like as much collaborative energy as possible. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, so many good and like really clear ways to structure it. Especially, I love that you said you started from your business plan or your SWOT analysis because those are such vital and living parts of your business. And so, not going into a collaboration like, oh, this person wants to collaborate with me. Okay, yes. But like, really, like, budgeting out your time appropriately and using that barter system, I think is really key. And I think you hit the nail on the head too when you said like, yes, you have a high value product business, but you're also collaborating with a lot of service-based businesses. So I think regardless of who you are in the audience, if you have a product, if you have a service, you can look at it from either way and see, okay, here's how I can fit in. And Christopher, I had another question. If you could share a specific example, I think I was supposed to ask you that off the top.
Um, Yeah, so I've done it in the past. So I went through the Axion, the CMBA program, the grant program last year, and through my cohort, there were a series of other. It's one that I've successfully done in the past, but I'm currently in the process of doing. There were a handful of other woodworkers or furniture makers that were in the group that a network collaboration that we're aiming right now is to put on in the Pacific Northwest like a design show. So we're all pitching in small amounts of money so that we can, rent a space, put our best foot forward as far as work goes, and create a small collective. But that makes it to where I'm leveraging, someone who might not have as much social media following or, trust in their brand. They've only been a furniture maker for 2 years or 3 years. My brand is going to be able to leverage the trust to help them out. But their clients might be in Seattle, and I'm not around those people. And so now that they're aware of me, so it puts me on their periphery. I've had excellent success with that in the past. I've done it in network collaborations where we're all putting on a very small event, like a small 5 or 6 of us event, and it could be a ceramicist. And ceramicist people need cabinets to put their ceramics in. Or it could be an artist or a painter, and they need frames to put on, their paintings in. So it becomes mutually beneficial in that aspect. That's probably one of the specific stories that works best for me on a regular bread and butter collaborative experience.
Oh, I love that. It just gives you a different um idea of how you can approach, because sometimes when we think of events, we think of like really huge, but like you said, it could be six of you. And I also want to highlight that Christopher took part, like he mentioned, in the CMBA program last year. It was an educational grant opportunity and really dug in into creating those relationships. So it works if you work it. You gotta get in there. And he really did that. And now we're seeing like some of these things come to light. So I just want to mention that and give you your flowers on that because it's very impressive. Okay, Joy, my next question is for you. So how can small business owners identify a good potential collaborative partner?
Yes, and I love that Christopher talked about the collective, and so that was speaking to my point earlier about it's not competition. Like we can all make money here. So, but I can't emphasize enough the brand alignment because you really do not want to get into business with someone who does not align with your brand. So again, that mission, that value alignment. And then, do you have a similar or complementary audience? What are the offerings that can enhance or extend yours? Do you have any shared goals? Like, are they also trying to increase visibility, sales, impact? Like, know what your goals are before going into a partnership. And, like, what's the value add that you have to each other? Because you don't want to just be the one asking, because partnerships can also be in the form of sponsorship. So yeah, you want to get a sponsorship. Let's say I want to get a sponsorship with L'Oreal. Well, I'm not just going to say, "Oh, I want you to sponsor this event for On the Go Glam." But what is my value add to L'Oreal as well? It's not just about me take. So you want to make sure, like we were discussing before, it's mutually beneficial. And I know we'll get more into that. But also, there are red flags. Is there a lack of transparency when you're entering into this collaboration? What about their work ethic? Again, that inconsistent follow through. Like if someone's inconsistent from the beginning, that speaks to how they're going to operate in this collaboration, and you may want to just bow out. And then, do they have vague intentions? Like you need to clearly be explicit about your intentions from the beginning. And that's on both sides. Poor communication, definitely a red flag. And then ask yourself, okay, would I be proud to refer my clients to this person or company? Does this partnership excite me? Am I stressed out with this partnership? And what is the worst case scenario? And can you live with that if this just goes, left field? So think about those things too. And then, are you gaining something meaningful for this? And also, have they delivered on past collaborations? If they're trying to work with you, have they done this before? So you want to consider that as well.
Yeah, so I really like formulating it about the red flags and keeping an eye out for those things. And then you said, okay, if the worst case scenario happens, can I handle that? Because I think that is really key. Because if you can, then you can kind of like ease yourself into it. If it goes left, it goes left. But also that value statement you mentioned, I feel like this pops up so much in small business promotion and your elevator pitch, but also making sure that if you're entering this sponsorship, partnership, collaboration, whatever you mention it as, making sure everyone understands what they're getting out of it. Love that. So
I
powerful.
also wanted to mention one more quick thing.
Yes, please.
When you are looking at collaborations, because sometimes, you know, obviously we want to make money from something. The goal is revenue, but really establishing what your goals are, because like I've done collaborations and I'm like, okay, I spent all this money to do it, but I didn't make a lot of money. However, it was a great brand awareness opportunity. So considering that as well, is this a revenue opportunity or is this a marketing opportunity? And you have to go in with the right expectations, because if it's a marketing opportunity, don't expect to make a lot of money for it. You can. It's not if and you can, but you can do that. But just have your goals be clear from the beginning.
Yes, that's such a good point in understanding what kind of what is this going to generate this partnership for you? Is it going to be money? Is it going to be awareness? Um, okay, Christopher, my next question is for you. Can you share how you view direct to consumer collaborations versus like a business to business partnership?
Yeah. Biz Direct to consumer, I treat it again, I treat everyone as a resource, not as a paycheck. So everyone, I fall well above what a lot of the average consumer is willing to spend on furniture. There are always things that I can leverage for certain consumers, so that we can collaborate on things. I can do discounts based on the fact that, or I can structure in free design services if it means that if I'm doing something exclusive, I can name this cabinet after your last name and then sell it in the future to the other people. So like it could be the Dean cabinet, and then now I can sell it to other people at full price. But it's no longer an exclusive product to you. You've given that, it's a collaborative experience that way. Um, uh, Another thing that I would do for direct to consumer, I will also treat as anyone like a small business. So if you are one person, if you're a two person, a three person, I'm treating you as a consumer. I'm not going to treat you as a larger scale business. When we get into like more than 10, 15, 20 employees, I start to treat you like a corporation. And then that's when I switch it over to treating like a paycheck or an opportunity to establish or further my brand, like revenue wise, as Joy was saying. But anything less than that, I'm going to direct in a way that I'm trying to gain access to either your audience's trust, your audience's opportunities, putting my brand awareness out there, or just establishing a network. I don't personally go into everything with revenue or marketing in mind. Sometimes I'm looking just for the connection that maybe I could call on a favor a couple of years from now. There's people who I established collaborations with when I lived in Richmond 7 years ago who just now are coming to fruition because they haven't forgotten me when I did this collaborative favor or I took a hit on their behalf some years ago. So that's uh, the direct to consumer. I always treat in an air that I'm not necessarily trying to gain a lot from it. I'm trying to gain, grains of rice, not the whole bag of rice. And then the direct to business is when I think a lot more professionally, a lot more in line with how much money is this coming, how much money is coming out of my account when I build this, how much money is going to be going into this account, or what is the actual cost benefit? Could I pay it? Is it a local graphic design company? And could I actually pay Etsy more in ads than I'll get in marketing from this local company if I invest in that? Or would it be more valuable in my time to collaborate with Google Ads than it would be to collaborate with this local publication? So I'll start to think about it in, counting my pennies when it comes to business collaborations, and really vying my time that way, versus for direct to consumer. I always treat it case by case.
Yeah. Oh, those are two really powerful ways to look at it. And it speaks to like the different stages where you're at in your business, what you can do, because sounds like, that consumer, like direct to consumer collaboration, like you said, you're treating everyone like an individual or like a potential just relationship. It's very organic, it sounds like, very natural. And then years down the road, people are remembering, what you did for them or the information you gave to them or how you supported them. I also really loved your idea of naming like a custom cabinet the after someone and selling it that way. There's so much creativity in what you can do as a business owner to try out those different like uh, collaborations, and then the business to business partnership, looking at, okay, financially, both of these things, which is going to yield more, like how you mentioned bringing in the ads into it, I thought was really important, because you really want to take collaborations, partnerships, anything you do in your business can be seen as a financial decision. Every decision is a financial decision. So looking at them and weighing them against each other is really great. It's a good mindset to have. Um, Joy, my next question is for you. What should small business owners clarify before entering a partnership to ensure that it is mutually beneficial?
Yeah, this is a good question. And I know it's like exciting when you have a partnership and you just want to jump straight in. But I think, one is outline who is responsible for what you want to achieve, what does success look like. You want to get as specific as possible, so again it is mutually beneficial for you both. And then establish how you'll check in. Like everybody's method of communication is not the same. Is it text, email? Will we establish a cadence for meeting weekly, leading up to the event, or whatever? If it's not an event, just a collaboration in general, and who the main point of contact is, and always keep everything in writing. I cannot emphasize this enough. You need to have a partnership agreement. Any type of collaboration agreement, there are templates available for partnership agreements, but it's so important. I've had so many people who have said, "Oh, I had a sponsor for this event," and the sponsor just pulled out at the last minute. Just money just gone that they thought they would have for this event. And I'm like, did you have a contract? Did you have any type of sponsorship agreement? And the answer was no. And they were just left hanging. And I have heard this happen so many times. And it doesn't matter if it's a big sponsor, they will pull out because there's no agreement. So definitely document everything as you're going through these processes, so that one, you have clarity, two, expectations are outlined, deadlines are clear, any metrics that you have, again, for success, documented everything.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And it's one of those like hard lessons learned. Like someone had to learn that the hard way. So hopefully none of us in this room have to learn it the hard way. Okay. We're going to get our contract signed and we don't have to worry about it. But it is one of those things like, it also formalizes, I feel like, the conversation. So it's very real for everyone. Like now we're all very invested because we contractually need to be, but also we're taking it very seriously. So that's a really good point. Uh, so Christopher, my next question is for you. How has building these collaborative relationships shaped your business in the long term?
Yeah. The most in the strongest change, or the most important attribute that collaborations has contributed to my business success. I've done at this point, I'm at 30. So I've done 30 like larger scale collaborations. I do three a year for the last decade. The most important thing for me is that every business stumbles at some point. You either have a bad client, leaves you a bad review, You sell a product and it fails, they want it refunded, what have you. There's always going to be some negative experience. I try and use the analogy or the metaphor, probably analogy, I suppose, of a credit report. Um, every bad every bad review or bad affect that you get from a client is a missed payment on your credit report. And the more credit accounts that you have, the larger the credit ceiling that you have, the more that's just a tiny, tiny little drop of water and it starts to disappear. Especially with businesses that are like very local, like where I live now in Eugene, where I run my business in Eugene, Oregon. It's a very small community. So if I have one bad client here, I have it, for all intents and purposes, ruined a pool of people of trust. So the more people that I can work with every single year, the more trust and the more confidence that I can have built into my brand by other brands. If someone that they've been doing business with for 20 years can vouch for me or can recommend me, they're likely to just trust them based on it. And even if they do have for some god awful reason a bad experience with me once, they might chalk it up to like this was coincidence, it was chance. We'll try it again. I'll give them another chance because this other person who I really trusts them enough to work with them. Revenue is probably, I mean, the biggest straightforward, like at face value benefit. If you just look at the surface, collaborations are what pay my salary yearly. I essentially have no new organic sales from the last 6 or 7 years. My salary is entirely paid by people being directed to me by people I have collaborated with. Or like, hey, I was at this person's house that you built a cabinet for 5 years ago. And I really want to get one that's like similar. Can you tweak that? Word of mouth is just natural, efficient collaboration with your community, and finding creative ways to leverage that has been the most rewarding for me personally, and also rewarding for my business's lifeline and longevity as time has gone on.
Yeah, wow. Especially 30 successful collaborations. That's huge. And also hearing the amount of time you invested in those, like very strategically, three a year, you keep the cadence. And like you said, those are continuing to multiply and pay back. And I love the analogy metaphor. I'm not sure of the word either, but I love of the credit report. You're right. It's just a drop in the bucket. And I think that can be a really powerful mindset in case you're a small business that has one of those experiences that, or you see that negative review, just keeping that mindset of, okay, the more people I bring into the fold, the more quality services I offer, that becomes a blip. That is a really good mindset to have. Okay, Joy, my next question is for you. What's a common fear small business owners have about collaborating, and what's your advice for working through that?
Yeah, common fear. I don't feel like there's just one, right? I think there are a few. Like you can have fear of rejection. You're like, oh, if I pitch this person or company, will they say no? Fear of maybe having your ideas stolen. A lot of people don't want to pitch their products or services because maybe they're afraid someone is going to take their ideas. Because it has happened. The reality is that it has, and that is something that you have to be aware of. Again, knowing who you're doing business with, fear of not receiving equal value. I saw someone, with a question about equity earlier, but fear of being overshadowed as well. This is why it's so important to be as specific as possible when you're going into these partnerships, these collaborations, to set expectations from the beginning. But yeah, especially if you're working with a big company, are they going to overshadow you? Is your brand going to drown in their light? So fear is normal. You have to acknowledge it, but don't let it drive your decisions. Use it as a mechanism to ask better questions and make sure that you're setting boundaries, because it's easy to kind of get lost in thoughts. So you want to make sure you have everything again clearly said, like that question that I just answered before. What are some things that you need to do before you even go into this? Preparedness is the best thing because then you won't have to feel like you're going into a situation where you're like, I don't know what's happening. When you have set your expectations from the beginning, you can go in with clarity, you can go in with your goals, and you know exactly what you want from this particular partnership. So it's not going to be perfect the first time. There will be some things you may have to learn, but learning from each partnership, improving your approach, you have to start somewhere. But again, as I was asking you all earlier, like, okay, what's the worst case scenario? If it doesn't work out, can you recover from this? Um, what does a successful collaboration feel like to you to kind of ease those fears? Like, what do you want this to feel like? And again, what boundaries do you need to honor during this process, which can also calm some of those fears?
Yes, I really like how you mentioned acknowledging the fears and using them to ask better questions to really get down to the nitty-gritty with the collaboration and don't let it stop you, essentially. Just use it to make you more prepared. Okay, so we're going to have a live Q&A shortly. So if you have a question, please drop it in the chat. We've been gathering some of the questions throughout our conversation, but this is your opportunity to get your questions answered live. And also, I want to mention that we have dropped earlier, we're going to drop them again, but now that you've heard Christopher and Joy, you might want to get connected with them. So we have those spots where you can go find their website, look at their services, and also, Joy is one of our amazing business advisors at AOS. You can actually schedule free business advising sessions with her. Free business advice. It's for real. You can look on the page, and we're going to drop that link so you can look at everyone there. But the idea is that you have someone who's committed to your business. So great. I see some of these questions coming in. Please continue to do that. So let me get into my final question before we move into the Q&A. First, Christopher, I want to ask you, what's one piece of advice you'd give to a business owner who's thinking about collaborating this year?
Yeah, great question. I would genuinely, I would recommend sincerity and being genuine. When you decide someone, I had seen someone in the chat post that they run a daycare. Think about the things that your business is using. Like what are the digestibles for your business, and then find ways to get those for essentially free, or on barter or on trade or sponsorship from companies that produce those things. So then you're no longer having to pay out of pocket for those expenses. Approaching people with like a genuine and a sincere, this is something that like my business could benefit from, and this is why I chose you. I turned down a lot of like collaborations also, and it's because I found that people reach out to me in what feels just like a I want free stuff way. Um,
Mhm.
I'm essentially never going to turn someone down if they approach me and they're like, I want to work with you specifically for this exact reason." Be that person when you approach people, dealing with collaborations, find a way that you can leverage your business, because all of your businesses are leverageable. Find a way to market yourself in a way that they wouldn't want to use anyone else. And then in the future, after your collaboration, the only person they use moving forward is you. That would be the biggest bit of advice that I could give is just be genuine, be sincere, take your time with it, be excited about it.
Yeah. Oh, so many good tips in there, especially the idea of no matter what your business is, like look at all the things that you're using, look at all the things that you need to run your business. And that works for product or service-based businesses. Like when you were talking, Christopher, I was like, oh, toys, like maybe for a childcare service, maybe you're going through a lot of toys or snacks, all those kinds of things, and then kind of reverse engineering potential collaborations from there is so key. And I think what you mentioned is that, being genuine, I think people can really read that and feel that. I think we've all been in situations where we can see if someone's not being genuine. So it takes more time, but it's really sounding like, especially with your business, it has paid off like, oh, and continues to pay off. So love that. So many good tips. And Joy, same question for you. What is a piece of advice you'd give to a business owner who's thinking about collaborating this year?
Yeah, mine is actually along the same vein. I say lead with value, not just vision, like what you want out of it. Don't approach someone with, can you help me? Can you do this for me instead? People love to hear you talk about them, so tell them what you admire about their work, about their company, and then, how you can create value together before just going in for the ask. I feel like the best collaborations are rooted in mutual respect and not just convenience. So a lot of what Christopher was saying, so just keep that in mind. And also leverage ChatGPT if you guys are not already. Ask ChatGPT to put together a list who would be some potential collaborators. Like give me a list of companies that would align with mine that would be great collaborations or partnerships. And then start pitching to different companies, and maybe Christopher can add more insight on how he has pitched. But yeah, leverage ChatGPT. ChatGPT can also put together pitch templates for you. But, just start there, with putting an outline together so you have some guidance instead of just sending people, a cold email. You want to make sure that it's as structured as possible and that you're clearly conveying what you want out of this partnership.
Ooh, yes, I like that. And I like leveraging the opportunities that are already here in front of us, the technology that's already here. Some of those things are key. Okay, amazing. All right, I'm seeing a lot of good questions in the chat. So I think we're going to go ahead and jump into those. So, Joy, you kind of set us up perfectly for this first one. I'm going to start with Christopher and then Joy, I would love to hear your thoughts as well. Christopher, how do you make the initial ask or the initial pitch for a partnership or collaboration?
Yeah, I usually I find a way to shoot people a message on Instagram or Threads now, especially since it's such a like a positive networking. I can post like one picture or two pictures of like a piece of work, a message, show people my personality. I genuinely just approach people like, hey, I really love your work and I would love to find a way to work together. And then that usually is enough of like an icebreaker for people to, if whatever they have, say something like, "Oh yeah, let's talk about it," and then I'll immediately DM them. Like, what do you need? What are things that like could fill this need for you? This is what I'm looking for. What would you be comfortable bartering with or collaborating on a way? Do you want to put your brand on this? Do you not want to put your brand on? Like, how do we want to do this? I do it incredibly informally mostly. I don't do a lot of contracts now. I used to do a lot of contracts, but it's since shifting into mostly small businesses. A lot of what I make, I can sell if someone falls through. So if a business decides that they want to burn me on a collaboration, I'm just going to sell the product full price to someone else. And then just let it go. So I'm not usually affected in the same way that service-based providers could be. But yeah, so otherwise, I'm just very excited. I shoot people messages all the time. If I love their work and I really want to work with them, and I think that my brand aligns with their brand, yeah, it's all communication for me.
Oh, nice. It's like tying us all the way back to the very beginning in the genuineness. And even Joy said, making sure that it makes sense, like it's a brand, it makes sense. And you do that by basically sourcing folks. And I also like that you go the social media route. I think there's a lot of different routes, but social feels authentic to everything you've mentioned today and probably where you're pretty active. So it makes sense that people be able to learn a lot about you there. Joy, same question for you. What advice would you give to, someone about making that initial ask for a partnership?
Yeah, I like the informal approach. I mean, I think people are getting spammed so much with emails. Like I get probably like 50 emails a day just with people pitching something to me. But what stands out the most is the subject line. Like are you tapping into a pain point or something that this company actually needs if you're emailing them? Leading with something that's speaking their language. Like you want to show that you've done research on this company instead of just like making that ask. So, really doing your research. I think I like the the approach of DMing people. Email still works. You may have to send multiple emails. That's okay. Don't give up after like one or two emails. You Again, these are busy people. They're getting pitched by you and a bunch of other people too. So don't give up. Have a great follow-up process because they're not gonna just respond the first time. Also, I use mail track or some type of mail tracker like to see if people have actually read the email. Because if they haven't, okay, we need to follow up. If they read it multiple times, okay, they may be interested and they need another nudge. We're still going to follow up. So I can see if people are reading. So they say they didn't get the email. I know you did. So this helps with our follow-up approach in terms of when we need to or how we need to contact people that we want to work with in terms of how that follow-up message will be like, okay, I think maybe you're going to be interested. We're not going to say we see you open this email, but you do want to give them a little nudge, like just checking in with you again. We know this is something that you said is a value of your company. This is what you need, whatever. But yeah, so the proof is in the follow up. And so I think don't give up when people just don't respond initially. Like after usually I give it about three tries and then I'm like, okay, maybe four, depending on who it is. But yeah, and then I'm like, okay, it's a wrap, move on. And don't be afraid of the no's. The no may just mean no, not now, or that's just creating another opportunity. Also, know how to overcome your objections. So if someone is saying no, what are you asking for? Maybe it's not clear the value that you're adding. Maybe, they want to leverage something else from you, but kind of get a feel on why they may be saying no. It may be it may just not be mutually beneficial for them. But if you can get feedback on something, know what that is and think about how you can overcome that objection. Maybe it's something that you need to give them.
Ooh, yes, like getting down to what the no is really about.
Exactly.
Love that. That is super powerful. And I also like what you said about the follow-up because I think, sometimes no can be so jarring or it can be like a big hit. Nobody likes being rejected. And so you're like, oh, I'm down for the count. But knowing that I'm going to have to email someone four times, like, okay, I'm going to be ready to do that. And I think like just having that mindset helps you a lot. And like you mentioned, even having that data tracking, like, do you have something that can show you what's going on? Even in social media, I think it shows when someone read the message. So that way you at least have that feedback if someone saw it or whatnot. It also makes me think of a business owner who owned a chai tea company, Madrazi. She was on a webinar recently and she would go in person and say, do you want to try a sample of my chai? And I think that there are so many ways you can stand out, whether it's following up, going in person, crafting a really unique social media message. Like there are so many different ways for you to stand out from as Joy mentioned, 50 emails a day. Like Old Navy needs to lose my email, to be honest. But next question. Okay, so Christopher, I'd love to ask you this and then Joy, what has been your challenge or have you had any challenges with creating a profit splits that are equitable or how do you measure the equity of your partnerships?
It's going to be a very probably not business acceptable answer, but did I have fun? Did I enjoy the work that I did? It's my own personal leanings, but I think that a lot of small business owners have forgotten that a lot of the reason that they got into their business is because they like doing what they do. Um,
Mhm.
If I wanted to think about revenue all the time, I would have just stayed in the corporate world. That's just the nitty gritty of it. Did I have fun? Did I enjoy myself? Did I get something cool out of it? Did they get something cool? Do I now have someone who like I can get lunch with or coffee with from time to time? Or like if I have a business problem that I can't figure out because I'm a cabinet maker, and I don't know graphic design, do I now have someone who I can text or like I can just shoot a quick message over to and say, hey, can I pick your brain really quick? And we had such a good interaction and now we've developed such a network in like our previous collaboration that they'll be like, yes, and it's a Sunday afternoon. That's the measure of equity and success for me. Is did I enjoy myself during the process and do I still look back at it in a positive manner?
Love that. Joy, same question for you. How do you measure, or how would you recommend measuring the equity in these different partnerships?
Yeah, I think it depends on what type of partnership it is. Like Christopher said, is it me gaining visibility? So am I getting access to a new community, a new network? Is it just, to have someone in this space that you can lean on? So, in terms of actual equity, though, I mean, obviously, when you go into a partnership, you would think it's going to be 50-50, but maybe it's something, maybe they are bringing more resources. And so they're like, no, we're going to do 60-40 if
Mhm.
you're talking about money. So it just depends. That's why you have to outline the expectations from the beginning. I can't emphasize that enough. It's so that you all are clear on both of your goals. Um, yeah, I think you just have to just set those expectations from the beginning. And what does that look like? Because if they are offering up more resources, then maybe it's not just split down the middle.
Yeah, that makes sense. Totally makes sense. Um, Next question, Christopher, I believe this one is for you. Do you offer incentives or bonuses to those who end up sharing referrals, or is it always discounts?
Usually it will be personal, like I don't usually do discounts for everybody. Sometimes it's opportunity for in the future, if I do something, there's been a couple times that I've done like Kickstarters or I've done like pre-sales on something. A normal price point for a project that I do might be between $4,000 and $6,000. If there's been just odd and end times that I've made products that are less than $500, sometimes if I get referrals from a bunch of people, I'll just reach out to someone who I have had like a referral based collaboration with in the past and just say, hey, I'd love to send you one of these. Like it's this new thing are you interested in this? So a lot of times giving someone also that's like another way to put myself into a new audience, or wiggle my way into like a new audience is send out like another little something small that they have to put on their wall or in their living room or something, and then someone else can see it again. Yeah, no, I don't usually do. I try my best to not do discounts, especially as I am one of the businesses that is severely impacted by tariffs. Discounts are kind of hard for me at the moment. For the last, I guess, since like 2018 or so, it's been kind of tough for me to navigate discounts. So I find other ways that are equally valuable to the people who are sending me referrals.
Love that. Yes, it doesn't always have to be a discount too. I think sometimes we get so like, I have to give money off. I have to give money off. Like, no, there's so many other ways that, and you want to make sure your business can sustain you so you can stay in business. So, love that. Those are some really creative ways. Joy, this next question is for you. If you already are in a collaboration with a group of three, but you feel like one of them is trying to overshadow, what do you feel like is the best way to handle that without seeming like you're not a team player?
Ooh, collaboration drama. I think that's the best way is to have a conversation. And again, it's kind of going back to, okay, here, this is what we're doing. If we're aligned, for me, this is what we're doing. So it's just kind of like resetting the playing field. Like it is my understanding that this is a partnership that has XYZ goals. This is what we're doing. So it's just kind of just having a conversation really and resetting the playing field so that, we're leveling this out here. Like this is not, we're not trying to outshine each other. This is literally a partnership. And so let's figure out how we can level set. I think it's a conversation. Yeah.
Yes, it goes back to the three C's, right? Like communication was no, it was clarity. Listen, collaboration.
Communication, clarity. Yes.
The three C's. You guys think
Yes,
I'm joking? Go
exactly.
watch another Joy webinars. Three
I know.
C's.
I didn't even realize I do that, but I guess I do.
I love it because it's nice and clear. You know, I can only really remember
Yes,
three things at a time anyway, so I like that.
yes,
Uh,
yes. Clarity, compatibility, and communication.
yes, yes, love it. Okay, our last question that we have is just a little more specific. Joy, I'm going to kick it to you. We have a beverage manufacturer. Do you recommend them initiating conversations with ingredient suppliers about potential collaborations? Does that seem like a good fit?
A beverage? What kind of beverage?
A beverage manufacturer. They didn't mention if this was your question, um, you can drop it. Oh, in the chat, and I make sorrel, Sorrel.
I'm not sure what that is, but I would say, when you think of other businesses that align with yours, like Christopher was saying earlier, is it supplies you need? Maybe you need boxes, maybe you need oh, Jamaican drink. Okay. Maybe you need maybe it's a restaurant you collaborate with to offer your beverages there. So that could be a collaboration. Is it a local retailer? So those are some collaborations you can think of. If it's not, it doesn't have to be the ingredients. It can be other just alliances where you can sell your product. Where you can cross promote because okay, now you have their restaurant that you can promote with your products, and then you're selling your products in their restaurant.
Ah, got it. Yes. Okay, love that. And then Christopher, do you have thoughts on this? Oh,
Yes,
yes.
for sure.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, definitely. Okay, so
Okay.
this is like right up my alley. Yes, absolutely. If you are making sorrel, reach out to every single one of your ingredient manufacturers and look for it. I mean, I reach out to my hinge suppliers. I have, and these are the only contract-based partnerships or collaborations I do anymore. I'll reach out to drawer slide manufacturers and I'll try and find a way to collaborate. I'll reach out to hinges, try and find a way to collaborate. I'll reach out to like my local wood supplier, try and find a way to collaborate. There's always for every single ingredient that goes into the work that you're doing, there's someone who's producing it who would be happy to try and find a way to partner with you or put you in their commercial or put you as like an actual real life testimonial of a small business who is using their product in a way that can like further them. That's in that instance, if they were even giving you like a free product, just like a free trial product, and you use that, that's a way for them to get free marketing, you to get free marketing, and all they had to do was send you $200 worth of a supply to make your sorrel. Yeah, I would get on reaching out to them sooner than later, just in case there are other sorrel producers in this chat.
Oh my gosh. I love
And tariffs and the tariffs.
And
Get ahead of
tariff.
the tariffs too.
Yeah.
But I
oh my
love that.
gosh.
I love that, Christopher.
Yes, it's such a good like lots of passion behind that too. I love it. But it's true. You if you need things to like make your product, there you go. You have a list of potential partnerships right there. Okay, I think I said that was the last question, but this is a really good question that I want to squeeze in. It says, what about exit strategies for someone who wants out? This is a great question. So because we kind of talked about, people dropping, but it says, what about exit strategies for someone who wants out? Do you still pay them if the show goes on? So this sounds like it's like an in-person show or opportunity. Joy, I want to kick it to you first, and then we'll wrap up with Christopher.
I think I'll let Christopher take this one first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so I've had to in network collaborations that we've done where we've rented out spaces. Someone has either wanted out at the last minute. Usually, what we have done is in the event that there's been no contract, you just kind of have to say, dang, I guess I eat this by myself now. Or everyone else has to split the load, or else it crashes and it burns. In the contractual ones, we've just bought people out. We've said, that's fine, that's totally fine. We're not going to mention your name, we're not going to market you. You have to be willing to accept that if you want to exit. You have to be willing to accept that you're not going to reap any of the benefit from the collaboration or the partnership, even for the little bit or the lot of it that you put in the beginning, but you didn't see it through to the end. A lot of this webinar has centered around effective communication and establishing like what your mutual goals are and how to hold other people accountable, but you also have to be accountable. And if you fall through on it, you have to expect that people are not gonna give you a seat at the table to eat at when all is said and done. It's the little red hen story. And if you decide to not help bake the bread or harvest the grain or anything like that, you're not going to get to eat bread at the end of the day. So I would be very cognizant of how you exit, be very upfront and communicate very concisely with people why you want to exit, not just I want to get out of this, and see how you can work with people to exit efficiently.
Yes, love that. Oh, so
And have a
cool.
contract.
And have a contract.
I know Christopher is, but listen, I'm telling you all, have that contract, okay?
A contract. Yes, clear communication, be genuine. The three C's, have a contract. I think there's so many good tips and tricks and information. I really want to thank Joy and Christopher for coming and sharing so much valuable information. And I want to thank all the business owners. There are a million things that you could be doing right now, and you chose to take this time to invest. And we hope you got something out of it for your business. We'll be sending the recording and all resources soon. So thank you all. I hope you all have a great day. Thank you again, Christopher and Joy, and we will see you all in the next one. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye, everybody.